Hello students, this is Mrs. Clyde here. I miss cooking with you guys, and so I thought I would just try to make a little cooking video and see how it goes. Part of during this break, one of my goals was to make some new things and see if I could find some new recipes that I enjoyed making for my family. And so I'm going to make a new recipe today. I'm going to show you guys where I found it. So my recipe today comes from this magazine right here that Giant puts out, I don't know, maybe quarterly, I'm just guessing, and is free when you shop at their store, when you go through the checkout or even pay at the self-pay registers. You can just grab one, and it's full of lots of recipes and ideas. And one of the ones I picked out from this magazine this month was this one right here that I thought my family would like. It is called Longevity Noodles, and it looks like an Asian bowl of noodles full of mushrooms and onions and garlic and all that yummy stuff. So this is what I'm going to make today. And I have here out on my counter some of the things that I need. I needed a pound of pasta. I needed green onions and some garlic, and the recipe actually called for fresh ginger root, but Giant didn't have any when I was at the store yesterday. There were a lot of things that they're out of during this coronavirus crisis, and ginger was one of them. So I'm going to do the next best thing and use my powdered ginger right here. I needed some canola oil, some spinach, mushrooms, and here are my three ingredients that I'm going to use to make the sauce: molasses, soy sauce, and toasted sesame oil. All right, I'm going to do some chopping, and I will be back with you in just a second. All right, guys, I am back, and now I'm ready to start putting everything together. So the first thing we're doing here is we're getting the noodles ready. I have my saucepan filled halfway full with water, and I've turned the stove on to high as I'm trying to wait for this water to boil. Once it boils, I'm using this box of fettuccine noodles right here. You could use spaghetti noodles, you could even use ramen noodles, anything that you choose for this recipe. But I'm going to use these, and the box calls for them to boil for 12 minutes to get al dente noodles. So in just a minute, when my water boils, I'm going to add a little bit of salt, and I'm going to add this box of noodles. While we're waiting for the water to boil, let's go ahead and start our vegetables sauteing. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of canola oil to my skillet. I'm using a pretty large skillet because I'm going to later add my noodles and vegetables and everything into the skillet. So I'm just going to start with the big one, even though it might seem silly right now. I'm going to add the white and light green parts of my onions that I showed you guys earlier that I diced up while you guys were doing something else. I'm going to add my garlic, which is right here on this cutting board, already minced up, about a tablespoon of garlic. And remember how I said the store didn't have any fresh ginger? I'm using this ground ginger right here, and I looked it up, and it said to use about 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger to replace a tablespoon of fresh ginger. You really shouldn't replace those items. Fresh ginger would be so much better in this recipe, but that's all we had today to work with, so that's what we're going to use. So I've put my garlic, my green onions, and my ginger in here, and I'm just going to wait for those to, I'm going to turn it to medium, and I'm going to wait 2 or 3 minutes for these to saute, and then we're going to add the mushrooms. All right, my water is boiling now, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of salt. About 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which I just measure in the palm of my hand like that, and then I toss it in. And then I'm going to add my pasta here. Remember, when you add your pasta, you want to turn the water temperature down, because otherwise it'll boil over. So I'm going to add half at a time. And when I do this kind of pasta, I like to break it in half. I don't really know why. I just think it's easier to eat than having such long pieces. A little bit more here in the box. I'm going to stir it, and then I'm going to turn my temperature down to medium and leave the lid off. Okay, that is stirred. My temperature goes down to 4. And then my garlic and onions are ready to add the mushrooms now. So I've got all my mushrooms sliced, and I'm just going to add them to this. I'm going to stir them a little bit, and then I'm going to just let them saute here for about 5 minutes while we go over and make the sauce. Okay, come on over here to this side. Here I have my ingredients to make the sauce. When I'm making sauce at home, I like to use a jar because you can easily put a lid on it and shake it so it all mixes together really well. And then when I'm done with it, I can just put it in the dishwasher. So it's super easy to use. My recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of toasted sesame oil. I'm actually going to double the sauce, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And then I'm going to do 4 tablespoons instead of just 2. And then it calls for 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. So I'm going to do 6 because I'm doubling it. Uh-oh, let's see if it fits in this jar. Three, 4, 5, 6. And then it called for 2 tablespoons. Let's see, this might be a little tricky. 2 tablespoons of molasses. Molasses is very sticky. It's kind of has the consistency of syrup or honey. It's going to provide sweetness to our sauce. I'm using a spoon so I don't dip the tablespoon that I already had soy sauce and sesame oil on into the jar of molasses. So that was 1 tablespoon. And I'm going to get another heaping tablespoon here. That one might have been a little bit light. See here, I'm just going to scoop all that out. I'm going to stir it a little bit with my spoon, and then I'll shake it. I'll put the lid on the jar and shake it here as well. Alright, now I told you that I would tell you why I doubled the sauce. The recipe here just has mushrooms and vegetables and noodles, but my family likes to have some meat in our dinner as well, so I pulled out some chicken and I'm gonna grill this chicken on the grill. So I thought I would double the sauce and pour half of my sauce on this chicken and let it marinate a little bit, and then I will grill that and we'll add the grilled chicken to our noodles once they're cooked and ready to go. Alright, well, I'll show you the final product once everything's together. Alright, I'm back, and now my noodles have finished boiling. They've boiled for 12 minutes, and they are ready to go, and now I'm at the point where I'm going to drain them. Now the recipe calls for something unique, which I've actually never done before, but we're going to follow the directions. And I have my 8 ounces of spinach sitting in the colander in the sink, and I'm supposed to drain the noodles over the spinach to allow the spinach to wilt some. So let's see how this goes. I can see the spinach wilting already. It's shrinking down as I pour the hot water on it. And then I'm even going to let the noodles fall on top of the spinach if they fit. Let's see. My colander's not huge. Woo. We'll get them all in there. I'll just set that right there for now. And then I'm going to take this, I'm just going to shake it and get all the extra water out of there. And I'm going to take it over to the sink, to my skillet that I cooked the the mushrooms and the garlic in right here. And I'm going to pour all of this in. Use my rubber spatula to get the spinach out of the colander. I also need to turn this burner off, don't I? Then I'm going to stir these together. So now I have the mushrooms, the garlic, the white parts of the green onion, all of this in here. And then I'm going to add this sauce to this mixture right here. Just trying to break up the spinach a little bit. It looks like it's stuck together. So I'm going to take the rest of my sauce and I'm going to pour it over here. And I'm just going to cook it for like 2 or 3 minutes, stirring it while I do this. I'm actually going to use this utensil because it can break up my spinach a little better than the rubber spatula can. And I'm just going to do this for 2 or 3 minutes and then take my chicken off the grill, slice it up, and we will be ready to eat our noodle bowls. I'll show you the final product in just a second. So here is my final product, the longevity noodle bowl with chicken and garnished on the top with the green parts of the green onions.